Hello, everybody. This is Steve from the Tech Buzz, and today I have a really cool demonstration slash tutorial for you for the brand new Wirecast Pro 6. This can also be utilized with Wirecast 6 Studio. But I just wanted to kind of give you a brief overview for those that are upgrading today. It was just released today, and I wanted to kind of show you some of the new features and get you going in the right direction if you plan on upgrading from 5 to 6, which I highly recommend because 6 in itself, as you can see by the UI, has been updated for Retina. It also has 64-bit, which for those of you like myself who have a beast of a machine, can utilize all the RAM and the CPU now within Wirecast. So I've been using this for quite a while in beta and part of the Insiders Club, and it's very, very stable. It's one of the most stable versions of Wirecast I've used probably in a long, long time. So let's just kind of go over the interface here. As you can see, they've now added on the preview side a preview audio meter to where you can see if the audio is blown out so you can adjust it within that video shot. Comes in really handy, especially keeping all your audio relatively at the same loudness, I guess you would say. Um, One of the things now you can add is a playlist. This is something that Wirecast users have been asking for a long time. So if you come down here to the piece of paper, click on it, and you click New Playlist Shot, you'll now see that there's a playlist shot. So if you double click it, you'll now have your playlist to edit. So what I usually do, simply because I want to have access to it all the time, I'll shrink my interface just a little bit so I can put my playlist here at the bottom of my Wirecast setup, and then I'll just kind of adjust it from here. But one thing that separates Telestream and Wirecast with the playlist from all the other companies out there, I'll tell you this, is the ability to add live camera feeds. And so right now I don't have any cameras connected here because it's basically just a tutorial. But I'll kind of demonstrate this from the perspective of adding sources to it. So let me just pull up my Finder here, and let's see if we have any movie clips in here that I can add, or maybe even some pictures. I don't know what I have. Got some kids' Easter pictures. So what I'll do is I will, let's see if we got one. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add my kid's picture, and just bear with me here. So I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to add a lower third to it. Let's say the royal. Let's just add this lower third. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the duration for it. So like by right-clicking on it, I can modify the duration, or you can also hit the sprocket. So I'm going to set this for, let's say, 10 seconds. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to duplicate the shot. And I'm going to remove the lower third. I'm going to also set this for the duration. We'll set this for 10 seconds as well, which it's already set to because I duplicated the shot. I also want to add my audio shot into here, which is built-in line input. Probably should have did that in the first place, but for sake of demonstration, I figured, everybody that's used Wirecast, they kind of know to do that. So let's see if I have any other media down here. Yeah, I do. I have some throwing videos here. So let me just throw that in here. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to leave it obviously on the first one. And the duration for the video is going to be, I think it's 5 seconds or 6 seconds. So at the bottom here, you have the total duration of your playlist, which is 28 seconds. You have a checkbox that you could restore your previous active shot. You could cycle through your playlist shots via inside of the interface here. On this little drop down, you can choose whether you want the playlist to loop, to hold. You want to go back to, like in my case, the Intensity Pro shot. Or I could go to my Please Stand By PNG, which is up there in my main master layer 3. Previous live shot, or go to current preview. I always select the current preview, and that's because I usually have my shot that I want next queued up in preview. You can also choose the transitions that you want inside the playlist. So these transitions here will only affect what's in the playlist. So now that we've got that situated, let's pull this up into the preview, and that's the playlist. Now let's hit go. And as you can see right below here, you'll see that there's a time. It tells you how much time is there. So if you're automating your show, you could actually you could actually not have to switch anything. And that's kind of what I like about it. So I could sit here and let's pull this up in preview because that's what I want to go live right after this video. So this video is going to be over here in about 3 seconds, and then it should go right to that we're experiencing technical difficulties. There we go. So you can see how powerful this playlist is if you utilize it, not just for recorded content, but also you could set up automations. Like if you're a business or if you're a school and you're not very comfortable with switching, you could basically automate your whole presentation and then allow the person to, to see this, whoever's sitting in front of Wirecast, and then you count down your talent. Like you're going to be switching to a video, 5, 4, 3, 2, and go from it. I mean, it's a very, very cool feature, and it's very simple to utilize within Wirecast. So I just wanted to show you that. Also, inside of Wirecast now, we have the replay feature. And so let's go into the settings before we activate it. So these are the different settings that you have within replay. So those of you that are wanting to do sports and whatnot, you can set it to standard or high, capture the audio in the replay. A lot of people, and that's not checked by default because a lot of people, especially sports, they have commentators that talk over the audio of the replay. They don't want to hear in slow motion or the audio of the replay. So they will, we don't need that checked. The other thing to keep in mind here too is the maximum duration. If you look, it's limited to 1 minute. So what that does is it records a buffer of 1 minute. And then after that minute's over, if you didn't utilize or didn't use the instant replay, it erases it and starts the next minute over. So if you choose unlimited, keep in mind, this is how many gigabytes per hour that you're going to use, meaning it's just going to keep buffering and recording that. So you could pull from a replay 5 minutes back, 6 minutes back, whatever. So just keep that in mind. The limit here is at 1 minute is going to use 6.88 gigabytes. So just make sure you have enough room. The replay folder, you could choose what folder that you want the replay to be stored in. Also, the duration for the replay is defaulted to 30 seconds. And so you could choose that to whatever you want. If you're doing sports, you can create a replay and have it go to whatever master layer that you want. What I tend to do is, like right here, I have a new playlist, which is the playlist that we were working with before. You could create a playlist called Halftime. And so every replay shot, let's say you're doing highlights. Let's say the football team, they're down in the red zone and they're about to score a touchdown. So you're going to start recording that as a replay. You could then have those clips deposited inside of the halftime playlist, and then during halftime you could throw your ads in there and all the highlights from the game, and you've created your halftime show while you're producing the show. So it's a really cool feature to choose where your replay shots can go. For now, let's put it on master layer 3 since that's the one I'm working out of. After creating the replay shot, you could choose whether to show it in preview, activate replay manually, record, or broadcast. So obviously, we're going to do it manually. We're not going to have it go on when you click record or broadcast. When deleting the replay shot, you could choose whether to have it ask you to keep the recording or just automatically keep the recording or delete the recording. And the replay shot template, there's Intensity Pro or Please Stand By. That's what's listed. So I'm just going to click OK, and then we're going to come up here to replay, and we're going to click activate. So now, as you can see, there's a new toggle here, and that's been created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit go on this, and I'm going to, wait a little bit, because as soon as I hit this, it probably hasn't gotten to 30 seconds yet. So it's seeing my audio. You can see it jumping around there. So now I'm going to hit the replay. And so what it's done is it's created this replay shot over here in the preview. Meanwhile, everything's going in program, and I can kind of scrub through here and see where I want it to replay at. Let's say here, just so you guys can see the the transition and whatnot. Let's see here. We'll go to that. Okay. So you can also click the magnifying glass here and adjust the timeline frames via that as well. I like to use the caret. That's just me personally. And then we're going to speed it up 2 times. And that just shows you what the clip is. So now, since this is a replay shot, I'm going to double click it and I'm going to come in here just like you would any other asset with video. And I'm just going to set it to loop just so we can kind of see what it's going to do. So now I'm going to click go, and you can see there it's looping that replay. It's a whole, I think it's a second and a half. So it comes in really handy. You could slow it down. You can go down to 0.25, and let's hit go on that. You can see that it's taking a lot longer. So if you wanted to, you could, play it back slower, faster, and it's really neat. So you can even preview it over here by hitting play and preview just to see what it's going to look like and fine-tune it, which is what I like to do. So replay, very simple. Now, the question comes up, so, okay, Steve, well, let's go to a blank shot here because that's going to drive me nuts. Let's turn off replay. We're going to deactivate it. So what happens if I accidentally delete the shot out of Wirecast? It pops up, it says replay shot. Would you like to remove the replay recording that are associated with this shot? Yes. Oops, I accidentally deleted it. But if you go into your Finder or Windows equivalent, under your movies, because that's where it was set, you'll see there's a replay in here. If you take this manifest file and drag it back into Wirecast, that replay file will be available again for you. Now, you will have to set your in and out points and your cue points again. That's just kind of the way it goes. But you have it back to where it's editable. So that manifest file comes in handy. So if you have a TA that's very new to this and they accidentally delete it, you can get it back. So it's another cool feature in Wirecast. The other cool feature in here that's not really demonstratable, but is the record functionality. Well, so before in Wirecast, if Wirecast crashed while you were recording, you'd lose the recording. It wouldn't close the file. Now it's built into it, so even if Wirecast crashes, it will still save your recording. So that's a huge plus. There's also a New Blue Effects titler to give you more titles. If you go to Telestream's website, you can see more about that. That's a separate purchase. I believe it's $295. And you can purchase that and have the ability to do motion titles. It's a plugin that works with Wirecast. I'll save that for another demonstration another time. But right now, we're just focused on what comes with Wirecast when you upgrade. Also, social media. This is a huge integration with Wirecast. Having the ability to do social media. So I'm going to log into my Twitter account. Let's see if I can remember my password. That's always the caveat, right? Because I use a program called LastPass. Oh, got it. Second try. Okay, so basically you want to go to after you've logged in under settings. Very simple, username and password. Then you want to go to your message feed. So basically this is going to show you your message feed. You can come down here and obviously you want to proof any of the tweets. You don't want them just showing up on your stream. So as you can see, I'm clicking one at a time. But if you want to have it go through a selection of them, you want to come down here and rotate selected every 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever you want. And check the ones that you want to rotate through. I usually do 5. And then I always check auto refresh every 90 seconds just because in case there's new tweets. So then I'm going to close that out and I'm going to come up here and we're going to create a shot. And basically what we could do is by creating it, let's do this. If I come in here, we're going to use the Intensity Pro simply because I know there's nothing on it, but we're going to use it anyway. So there's the social media template, the default one. Now, if you're into customizing like I am, Telestream was really cool, and they left this coding on line 1 and line 2. you could essentially put that on any 2-line lower third if you don't like this lower third, or if you create your own, and it will allow you to bring the social media information into Wirecast. So very, very cool. You can adjust the text. Let's say if we want to go a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. There, we'll go a little bit bigger. Hopefully it fits all on there. So now you can see right there, it's going through all the list of people that are tweeting out on my timeline, and you can basically pull it up and say, oh, so-and-so saying this, so-and-so saying that. It's a really, really easy and cool feature to use. Inside of the settings as well, you could choose whether you want your home line, if you want your favorites. You don't have to use just your home timeline. You could use a user timeline. You could do search and then search for, let's say, Wirecast, and let's see what that pulls up. It might not pull up anything. I don't know. So let's go into the message feed and let's see if it comes up. It actually does come up with some. So let's reselect. Let's go through and select these. Okay, so you can see there's now with that hashtag, now we're able to pull that in. So if you're doing a broadcasting show, if you're doing a show on dinosaurs, you could just pull up the hashtag and you could see what people are saying about dinosaurs or broadcasting, and have that now integrated into your broadcast. Very simple, very easy to set up. That pretty much with going through this, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the major features. I know there's a Wirecast cam coming. The ability to pull in Wirecast iOS devices and use them. So if you look under here, there's, everything's pretty much the same. And now, you also have the ability to disable on-VIF IP camera discovery. So a lot of you folks that maybe are in a corporate environment that have a lot of IP cameras or IP printers, you can disable that so it doesn't conflict with Wirecast, as well as Bonjour. You can just disable them and only enable them if you intend on using the IP cameras. A lot of people use Wirecast in IP camera environments, but they're not using the IP cameras. So you have that ability as well. So there's also, if you poke around in here, VP6 is no longer in here, as it's a old codec. It's now ProRes or main concept H.264, but also X264 is in there as well. So these are a few things. Play around. Again, this is basically just to show you some of the new features that are in Wirecast. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it gets you going with Wirecast, and when you upgrade, I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, keep it buzzing.